Is there one true recipe for Pepperpot? What definitely doesn't go into it? And what definitely has to? Welcome back to Cliffieland! This is week in country number 71 on our second attempt of cooking the food of every country in the world, and tonight we're up to the nation of Guyana. Guyana is located in South America on the northern edge on the Caribbean Sea. It shares borders with Venezuela, Brazil, and Suriname, and as a former British colony, it has a whole lot more in common with its British Caribbean neighbors than it does with the Latin American nations around it. Its food is a fascinating combination of different flavors, and that has to do with the history of the country. The food is a combination of Amerindian, British, African, Caribbean, and South Asian flavors. And that's because when the British had us as a colony, first they brought slaves over from Africa. After slavery was abolished, they brought in workers from South Asia, which sort of accounts for the interesting combination of people and flavors of the food of Guyana. And tonight we're going to be doing the same two dishes we did last time, and those are Pepperpot, which is the national dish of Guyana. It's a beef stew with a lot of different meats and a particular ingredient, which we'll be talking about in a second, and Roti, which is a Indian flatbread, which it seems has more varieties than you can shake a stick at. At least that's kind of what I figured when I did the last go around. But before we go any further, we have to see how things went when we tried this last time around. Well, 4 years ago on the Global Cooking Challenge, I was in quite a predicament. See, I didn't actually plan on cooking the Pepperpot because of the key ingredient, and that key ingredient is cashew. Cashew is sort of a molasses made from cassava, also known as yuca. It acts as a natural preservative, which allows the meat cooked in it to be stored at room temperature for about 2 weeks without being refrigerated. It's actually pretty amazing. But without cashew, you don't have a Pepperpot, and I didn't think I would be able to find cashew anywhere until on the way home I found a Guyanese market which happened to have it. Oh my goodness. That meant I was making Pepperpot. I tried to make it with a ham hock, which I'd never used before, and I tried to follow the instructions, which meant it only cooked for about an hour, which meant the food was not good. Didn't have enough time for the meat to get tender, didn't have enough time for the flavors to develop, and I've learned since that you really need to let it sit for at least 2 days for it to really taste good. And you certainly need to boil it for more than an hour. So I apologize to the people of Guyana. As for the roti, that was delicious. It was the first time I'd ever tried making it, and, you know, it came out pretty well, all things considered. But we're gonna make things better this time around. Now we have to see what goes into those dishes. First, for a Guyanese Pepperpot, we'll need 1 cow heel, also known as cow foot, cut up, soaked in water with 1 cup of vinegar for a half hour. 1 pound of stew beef cut into 1-inch cubes, 1 pound of pork shoulder, 1 pound of oxtail. You can also use any other combination of meats. Many people also use lamb. 1 cup of cassava cashew, 2 cinnamon sticks, 1.5 inches of orange peel, 1 to 2 Scotch bonnet peppers, although wiri peppers are traditional, but harder to find outside of Guyana, a half a cup of brown sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and about 16 cups of water. And for our Guyanese roti, we'll need 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of shortening. You can use lard, ghee, vegetable shortening, or butter. We've gone with lard here. 1 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of butter, margarine or butter substitute, we've gone with butter here, and a half a cup of olive oil. Now we're gonna rock on down to Electric Avenue, and then we take it higher. That's an Eddie Grant reference. He was from Guyana. Kids, look it up. But now it's time to get cooking! First, steam the meat to remove the fat if necessary. Place all the meat in a pot, and add enough water to cover just about a quarter of the way up the pot. Let the meat simmer on low heat and steam until the fat congeals and can be removed from each piece, about 15 minutes. Remove the meat from the pot, discard the water, and remove any dangling pieces of fat. This is to ensure the meat is as lean as possible. Then, in a large pot, heat the oil over medium heat. In batches, brown the meat for about 5 to 10 minutes. Return all the meat to the pot, and if using, drain and rinse the cow foot and add to the pot. Then add the cashew, cinnamon sticks, orange peel, brown sugar, hot peppers, salt, and enough water to cover completely. Bring to a boil and reduce to simmer. Let simmer until the meat is tender and the water is about 3/4 of the way reduced. Meanwhile, skim the fat off the top as it cooks. Taste and adjust seasoning as needed. Cover, remove from heat, and serve days later. On serving day, remember to bring it to a boil again and then simmer briefly. In a bowl, mix the flour, baking powder, and shortening or lard. Using your fingers, break up the shortening or lard until combined into the flour. Make a well in the center. Add the water and knead it together to form a soft dough. Using your fingers, poke holes into the dough to add air pockets. Cover with a wet paper towel for between 30 minutes to an hour. When time is up, break it into 3 equal portions. Then, on a floured surface, roll out the dough to a circle that is 1/8 of an inch thick. Heat the oil and butter until melted together, and then brush about 1 tablespoon of it over the top of the circle. Then, with a knife, cut a line along the radius. Fold the edge of the slice toward the circumference to form a triangle. Then fold the triangle over itself and repeat around the circle. Grasp the cone and press the outside of the large side inward with your fingers. Then turn it over and press the bottom inward with your fingers. Repeat with the other 2 portions and cover with wet paper towels. Then let rest for another 30 minutes. Meanwhile, heat a griddle or cast iron skillet over medium heat. Roll each dough ball into another flat circle. Place the dough circle onto a heated skillet. When bubbles start to form, flip. Brush with the oil butter mixture. Let cook for about 1 to 2 minutes. Flip. Brush the other side with the oil butter mixture. Flip again. And then flip into a plastic container. Cover and shake vigorously to allow air into the layers. And then move to a plate to cool. Repeat with the remaining portions. Ladle the pepper pot into stew bowls, removing the bones first if desired. Fold over the roti and serve family style. And serve hot. How did all that go? Well, it was really pretty amazing doing my cooking like 2 nights before I actually ate the stuff. The cook was actually amazingly easy. I did have to go through a good deal of trouble to get all those bones out of that stew. But let's get to the actual dishes themselves. First, the pepper pot. Now the meat by itself didn't really have a ton of flavor, but it was all in the sauce. And really, those 2 days to develop really let the meat get really nice and tender, and that sauce had an amazing flavor. It was really nice and spicy from those Scotch bonnet peppers. My only complaint is with the dish itself. See, a lot of different people will argue about what needs to go into a pepper pot and what doesn't. Some people add things like thyme and onions and basil, and other people say no, that should definitely not be in it. Some people use chicken, some people say no, that shouldn't be in it. However, we felt it needed some kind of vegetable like carrots or potatoes or something. I know that doesn't really go into it. Still, it felt like it was missing something. So I'm gonna give the pepper pot 4 out of 5 globes. Really delicious. It tasted like it's supposed to taste, but it needed at least some kind of side. Personal preference. As for the roti, I've done roti a few times now, and this time it was probably about the best time I've done it. It was nice and fluffy. It had that airy, buttery quality. All by itself, it tasted really great. Dipped into the sauce from the pepper pot, it was actually really amazing. I'm gonna give the roti 5 out of 5 globes. Superb. Wonderful, wonderful dish. So that does it for the food of Guyana. Tune in next time when we take our little rowboat north through the Caribbean Sea to have the food of Haiti. It's gonna be really good. See you then. And remember, if you'd like to see our streams live when they happen every Tuesday night, be sure to follow us on Periscope or Facebook Live. Like and subscribe if you'd like to be advised when these videos are posted. If you have any thoughtful feelings or helpful suggestions about the food I'm cooking, please feel free to sound off in the comments. Remember, links to the original recipes can be found in the About section. And if you like what you see, share it. It would be nice. Till next time, thanks for watching and happy eating!